My name is Sarah. I'm 38 years old, and one June morning, while I was making my breakfast coffee, something inside my head ruptured and my heart stopped beating right there on my kitchen floor. Before that day, I had built a simple life, intentionally simple. I had a small bakery in a little town in Vermont. You know that smell of fresh bread at 4 in the morning? That aroma of yeast mixing with cinnamon. I lived for that. I loved feeling the texture of dough in my hands. It was something concrete. It was something pure. After everything I went through as a teenager, purity was the only thing I really sought in life. The people in town didn't know about my past. To them, I was just Sarah, that woman who makes the best sweetbreads in the area. I had a daughter, Emma. She had just turned 10. She was my reason for living. You know, I taught her how to braid bread dough, how to care for baby birds that fall from their nests. We had a tiny life, a safe life. We went to church every Sunday. My prayers at night were simple, kinda tired even. I just asked God to protect Emma and keep away the nightmares that still visited me. The memories of my past were like a ghost living in the attic of my mind. I never went up there, but I always knew it was there. That morning started normal. Emma was still asleep. The radio was playing softly, talking about traffic. I remember the intense smell of roasted coffee beans as I poured them into the grinder. I grabbed my favorite mug, a blue one Emma had painted for me, with a crooked flower drawn on it, and then a snap. It wasn't a loud noise. It was inside my head. It was sound and sensation at the same time, like a rubber band breaking deep inside my skull. The world started spinning. The blue mug slipped from my fingers and shattered on the floor. I felt my knees give way. There was no pain, just a strange, intense pressure, a rushing sound in my ears, like ocean waves. All I could think about was my daughter's voice screaming from the hallway, asking if everything was okay. I tried to answer, but no sound came out of my mouth. The last thing I saw was sunlight hitting the blue shards of the mug scattered across the floor. Then, nothing. Complete darkness. But it wasn't a scary darkness. It was a silent void. A total absence of everything. No body, no thoughts, no memories of Sarah the baker or Sarah the mother. I wasn't even me anymore. I was just consciousness floating in a gentle, calm emptiness. Suddenly, I was looking at my kitchen from above. I saw my own body lying there, motionless. I saw my little Emma running in. I saw her face crumbling. I saw her shaking me, screaming, "Mommy, Mommy, wake up." I felt a deep pain for her, a sadness. But it was distant, like watching a movie. The fear I should have been feeling was gone, replaced by a strange and perfect peace. I watched her run to get the phone, her little fingers trembling as she tried to dial 911. I was just watching. Then the kitchen started to fade. The sound of my daughter's crying grew fainter, and the darkness around me transformed into a soft gray mist. It felt like I was floating in a warm cloud. I wasn't moving, but the world I knew was moving away. And that's when the stillness came. It's hard to explain. The silence before was empty. This was a silence that was full. It was a presence. The air, or whatever it was around me, became thick and warm, like sinking into a hot bath. There was something ancient and yet new about that sensation. And there was light, but it wasn't that blinding, bright light. It was a soft golden glow that came from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It wasn't something you saw with your eye. It was something you felt on your skin and your soul. Then I knew I wasn't alone. He was there. But he wasn't a man out of a church painting. He wasn't white. He wasn't brown. He wasn't anything I could describe with words. He was made of that warm, golden presence. He was the source of all that stillness. He had a form, but it was like looking at a flame. You can see its shape, but it's always moving, always alive. The most real thing about him were his eyes. I couldn't see them like I see your eyes now, but I felt them. I felt his gaze on me. And that gaze, it didn't search me, it didn't judge me. It was like a warm hand touching a deep wound I'd been carrying my whole life. It was a gaze that didn't just see the broken parts of me, the parts from my childhood, the fear, the shame. It went into those broken places and started healing them right there, just by looking. I didn't feel exposed in a bad way. I felt complete. A lifetime of tears I'd been holding back started to fall, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of relief. Every wall I had built inside myself simply dissolved. He didn't speak with a voice you hear with your ears. His thoughts simply arrived in my mind, clear and gentle like water. "Welcome, little one. Be at peace." The feeling of that thought was pure love. It wasn't human love. It wasn't the love that tries and fails and gets tired. It was a love that formed the very fabric of that place. It was the air I was breathing. I just stood there in his presence, or floated, or whatever I was doing, and let myself be healed by it. I never wanted to leave. Then he looked at me again, and I knew we were going somewhere. The gray mist around us shifted. He spoke again. "You have questions about the darkness you came from. I want to show you the truth." Suddenly, I wasn't in that misty place anymore. I was watching scenes like a movie unfolding all around me. At first, I saw things that seemed familiar. I saw men in expensive suits in glass buildings making phone calls. I saw numbers on computer screens. I saw shipping containers being loaded onto ships in the middle of the night. I saw powerful men shaking hands, their faces empty, their eyes cold. It was the machinery of the world, the business of evil. It was organized. It was normal. This is what men see. His thought came to me. Greed, power, flesh. But that's not the root. And then he let me see what was underneath. The scene shimmered, and it was like I was looking at the same room, the same boats, the same people, but with a different kind of vision. Over them, behind them, there was a web of black, sticky threads. It connected them all, and I saw creatures made of shadow and smoke clinging to this web. They weren't monsters with horns and pitchforks. They were far more terrifying than that. They were formless things made of pure despair. They whispered in the ears of the men in suits. They whispered things like, "You are nothing without this money. Power is the only thing that matters. People are just objects to be used." The whispers were like poison seeping into their souls, hollowing them out from the inside until only hunger remained. But then he showed me the other side. He showed me the victims, the children. He showed me them in their cages, in their dark room. And I saw those same smoky creatures there, clinging to them too. But they weren't whispering about power. They were whispering different lies. They whispered, "You're worthless. No one is coming to save you. God has forgotten you. You're dirty. You're ruined. No one will ever love you." Tears filled my eyes. I recognized those whispers. I'd heard them my whole life. They were the background noise of my own heart. Jesus' voice filled my soul, and it was full of holy sorrow, deep and powerful grief. This is the real enemy. It's not the men. The men have chosen to listen, but the voice they're listening to, it's the spirit of the cage, the prince of bondage. Its only goal is to make a child of God believe they're an orphan. It feeds on despair. It builds its kingdom on the belief that people are worthless, both the user and the used. I saw the entire network of evil, a vast spiritual web of lies stretching across the whole earth, and I felt so small, so hopeless. How could anyone fight something like that? It was everywhere. It's too much. I thought, the darkness is too strong. And then Jesus touched my mind again. Now look again. Look closer. He showed me the dark web one more time, but this time I saw tiny pinpricks of light. They were everywhere. I looked closer at one of them. I saw a woman on her knees in a church basement in a city I didn't know. She was crying, praying for the faceless children. Her prayer wasn't sophisticated. It was just, "Lord, please, rescue them. Send someone." And her prayer was a tiny spark of brilliant white light that shot up and pierced a hole in that dark, sticky web. I saw another light. It was a man, a truck driver. He saw something wrong at a rest stop. His heart raced. He was scared, but he made the call. And that simple act of courage was another spark, another hole in the darkness. I saw foster parents holding a terrified child, just rocking them back and forth, humming a song. Their love was a steady, warm glow, and the smoky creatures recoiled. They couldn't stand the light. I saw activists, investigators, ordinary people who refused to look away. I saw people praying, people donating, people acting. Every single act of love, every prayer, every moment of courage was a light that tore the web to pieces. The darkness looked strong. His voice resonated with truth, but it's fragile. It's a kingdom of lies, and a single spark of truth can destroy it. My light shining through my people is how the cages are broken. They don't fight with swords. They fight with love. They fight with prayer. They fight by standing in the light. I watched for what felt like an eternity. I saw the great cosmic battle. And it wasn't being fought in the sky with armies. It was being fought in the quiet hearts of ordinary people who chose to believe in the light. I finally understood evil was real, more real and more organized than I'd ever imagined. But the power of God working through his people was infinitely stronger. Then the visions faded and I was back with him in that warm, golden stillness. I felt a peace I'd never known. The ghost in my attic was gone. The whispers had been silent. I was whole. "I want to stay," I whispered, my thought directed at him. "Please, I can't go back." He looked at me and the love in his gaze was overwhelming. "Your daughter Emma is waiting for you. Her heart is breaking." I saw her face in my mind. "My sweet girl. Your work isn't finished," he continued, his thought gentle but firm. "You've seen the truth. You need to go back and be a light. You need to tell them that the prayers of the faithful are a fire that consumes the darkness. You need to tell the forgotten ones that they're not forgotten. Their Father sees them. Their Father is coming for them. Go and be a witness to the light." I didn't want to go. Leaving his presence felt like being torn in two. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I begged him with my whole soul to let me stay. He just smiled, a feeling of pure, reassuring love. I will be with you. You won't be alone. Then I felt a pulling, a terrible, heavy downward pull. The golden light began to fade. The feeling of his presence grew more distant. The last thing I felt from him was a final thought, a promise. Tell them I am making all things new. Then a jolt, a gasp of air burned my lungs. It was a horrible, ragged breath. My entire chest felt like it was on fire. There was a bright white light above me, so bright it hurt my eyes. There were voices yelling, people moving all around me. Someone was pressing on my chest. We've got a pulse. We've got a pulse. A man's voice shouted. I tried to talk, but all that came out was a groan. My head throbbed with pain so intense I thought it would split open. I was back. I was in my body, and it hurt. Everything hurt. I opened my eyes and saw the face of a paramedic looking down at me. Ma'am, can you hear me? Can you tell me your name? Sarah, I whispered. It felt strange to say my own name. Later at the hospital, the doctor came into my room. He was holding a clipboard and had an expression on his face I'll never forget. It was a mix of confusion and awe. Sarah, he said, sitting down, your daughter is a hero. She got the paramedics to you incredibly fast. But you, you were gone. You had a massive subarachnoid hemorrhage. From everything we know, your heart stopped. We worked on you for a long time. You were clinically dead for 23 minutes. He paused, looking at me. There's no medical reason you should be here right now. And even if you were, you shouldn't be able to speak. You shouldn't be you. There should be significant brain damage. But your scans, they're clear. It's impossible. I just looked at him and started to cry. Not because I was sad or scared, but because I knew it wasn't impossible. I had been somewhere else, and I had been sent back. So that's my story. I was sent back with a message. It's a message for anyone who has ever felt broken, for anyone who has ever felt forgotten, and for anyone whose heart aches for the suffering in this world. He didn't show me the darkness to scare me. He showed me the darkness so I would understand how powerful the light is. That spiritual evil, that web of lies, it thrives when good people believe they're helpless. It wins when we think our prayers don't matter. But they do. I'm telling you, I saw it. Every time you kneel down to pray for a child you've never met, you're waging war. Every time you choose kindness when you could choose anger, you're a warrior of light. Every time you donate $1, make a phone call, or simply refuse to look away from the pain in the world, you're tearing a hole in that darkness. Heaven is real. Jesus is real. And the spiritual battle for people's hearts is real. But the war has already been won. Our job is just to stand in the light and let that light shine in the darkest corners of the world. So please, don't lose hope. Never believe the lie that you're powerless. The King of the universe hears you. He sees you. And he's using you to set the captives free. Your prayer matters. Your love matters.